Marketing can seem confusing. You've got questions, so we've got answers. Join us as we answer your questions from Facebook Live and Instagram. Our Q&A live episode on today's Straight Shot Marketing Podcast.
Welcome to Straight Shot. Marketing is everywhere. It's around your life, from what you eat to what you wear and where you go. It is a vital part of any and all business. Let's discuss the world of marketing and business as it influences everyday life with the staff of Atlanta marketing agency Reformation Productions and guests as they give it to us straight. Get ready. Take aim. Steady. Welcome to Straight Shot.
Hello, everyone. Recently, we held a Facebook Live and an Instagram Live event where we took your marketing-related questions and recorded them for today's Q&A Live episode. Now, if you didn't get the invitation or you still haven't connected with us on social media, there's still a chance. Facebook.com/Straight Shot on Facebook, or you can go to @Straight Shot Podcast on Instagram. And you're going to want to connect with us because that way you can participate with us the next time we do one of these live Q&As. You can also email us, if that's your thing, at info@straightshot.net, or feel free to pick up the old telephone and give us a call at 678-825-8086, extension 300. Anyway, enough with that. On with the show. Let's dive right into today's podcast. Hey guys, welcome to Straight Shot. We are waiting just a few more minutes to get some more people to jump online. We are streaming right now from Facebook Live as well as Instagram Live. Are you ready for us to begin?
I am ready whenever you are.
You are ready. Okay. Thank you guys very much for tuning in and being here with us today to ask some marketing questions. As a reminder, this is a live broadcast today to answer some of your marketing questions so that we can include them in the next podcast taping that will be available soon. Hi, David. Okay. Zachary.
Yes.
I am going to jump right into the first question here that I received on direct messenger for Facebook.
Okay.
And that first question is, how do I get people to buy my products?
Really?
Yep. If you can answer that, that'd be great.
That's the most basic question that there is.
Yep. Answer this and then we're done for the day, I think.
So here's how I'm going to choose to answer that. You need to remember, Mr. Business Owner, salesperson, whoever you are that's asking
Person from the community.
It is not your job to push your product or service onto people. What your job is to figure out what people need your product or service, and then figure out how it is you're going to communicate to them in a way that makes you stand out, right? So what makes you different from your competitors? How are you going to communicate that difference to people in a way that's going to influence them to choose you and then prefer you in the marketplace? So there really is a mindset difference between get people to buy my stuff and how to best serve people with what I offer. Mm-hmm. So really, I mean, it seems like a small thing, but in how you go down that road, it's going to make a big difference. So it's a very broad question. I can't directly answer that with no other details. But you did open up a larger, bigger picture way of answering it, and that is how you're looking at that question to begin with. So it's really important to kind of adjust your mindset to where you're being a servant, if you will, even in going into commerce.
So next question. Next question we have here, Zachary. We put out content on our social media posts and handheld video, but my agency wants us to make these big, more expensive videos. Why? Does that make sense? Do you need me to repeat it?
Repeat it one more time for the folks in the back.
Okay, so basically what they're saying is that this is a business owner who already has an agency that they're working with.
Right.
And maybe this business owner is already doing social media posting with like an iPhone or handheld video of some
Right, so
sort.
they're still doing
So they're
video,
kind of doing run and
handheld.
gun, yeah. But the agency that they have wants them to make big, more expensive videos, and
they
they're
wanna know
wondering why. Yeah.
Okay, the reason why they are trying to coax you into that is because of potential reach and potential impact in the marketplace. You have to understand that in the world of social media, which is what you're talking about, sharing is gold. So if you make content that will resonate and be shared by others, then that's going to bring you as the business more value. But in order to do that, it's going to take more thinking, more strategy, more planning, more crafting. And that's why it's going to cost more. You mentioned it being more expensive videos. That's why. Because there's a lot more thought and planning that has to go into it. So that's what they're really trying to get you to do, is have these well thought out, smart videos that will have longer reach than just holding up your iPhone. Now, the biggest thing so that's not bad advice, depending on who you are. What you need to know is you need to make sure that they know how to do it, how to make a video that is going to have a longer shelf life and to be more viral. You need to approve the concepts, approve the storyboards. All of that should be part of that investment that they're talking about making, is that planning process. And you need to be creative. Creativity goes a long way. A lot of the videos that you see that stick with people are, they're tear jerkers and they touch you emotionally, or they're funny, or there's some sort of thought process that makes them witty and makes them stick into your mind, which makes me think of the book Make It Stick. But
Chip and Dan Heath, love you, shout out.
There are different things that kind of go into it that makes the video better. Now, sometimes handheld video is fine, but you have to know when to do it, and you have to be careful to not come across as being amateur or cheap in the process, unless of course that resonates with your brand, in which of course that's fine. But no, you do not always have to carry around a video crew with you. A lot of times celebrities you feel engaged with because they're shooting a little selfie with their iPhone. That's fine. But sometimes, which is where the agency is leading you, you need to come up with these videos that are going to have a longer shelf life than just that 24-hour period when you post it. So that's what they're trying to do.
The other thing is, like he said with storyboarding, have an intention, have a reason to be doing it. Mm-hmm. Don't just be shooting because somebody told you it was a good idea and you happen to have a camera phone. Lord help us all. Make sure that if you're going to shoot something, there's a reason, there's thought behind it.
And your agency should be the one that's providing that thought for you. Now, your job is to evaluate whether it's a good fit for your company or not, for your brand. But you don't have to be the think tank. That's what you pay them for.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, and your agency will probably back me up on this, this goes for pretty much everybody. Unless you are an Emmy or Oscar award-winning actor, most people turn a little nutty when they go in front of the camera. It does not always tend to showcase the most professional side of ourselves when we're doing handheld cameras. Mm-hmm. Number one, they're shaky. You can make the audience nauseous sometimes. Or, you might come across as not being as articulate or as intelligent as you want to be. Mm-hmm. So it's always important to have a professional video done whenever possible, so that you can showcase the best version of you that sells your product.
Not only that, but when you're doing a professional video, the director, because you'll have a director when you do that, he'll know how to get the best performance out of the actors, out of you. Even if it's an interview, he will know how to make you calm, ensure that you're saying the right things. Blah, blah, blah. Again, that's what you're paying your agency for, is to figure out how to make you sound the very best that you can. Whereas doing it yourself, handheld, you're judge and jury, and that's all you.
Oh yeah, that's
sometimes
you're at the mercy of whatever lighting.
Right.
Ladies, you might be showing more chins than you want. You might be, but mostly it's an intelligence factor. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't always come across as being the most intelligent thing, especially if you're doing it yourself. If you're holding your own camera, that can sometimes come across not as clear. Sometimes it works really, really well, and that again is intentional, and that's okay.
I would say that to kind of make it practical for you, if you're a retail shop and you have a sale that comes out every Tuesday, you don't need a camera crew to come in every Tuesday.
Heavens no.
Just make a series where you say, hey, this is what we have on sale this week, blah, blah, blah. You're talking straight to the camera. You're being personable with your audience, and that's perfectly fine. But if you're talking about the history of the company and what makes you different than your competition, that is not a handheld video. That's something that's going to have a longer shelf life. You're going to be able to use it more than just that temporary period in social media.
Yeah, guys,
So
please stop using webcams.
Oh, yes.
Please stop.
Webcams are
Please?
not high enough quality.
Please. I mean, it's still out there, and you can always tell when you turn, you meaning an agency or just a regular person, when you go to a lawyer's website and they have a, hi, my name is John T. Lawyer, and you can always tell when it's shot on a webcam, and it makes me crazy. Do me a personal favor and stop with the webcams.
Webcams were so 10 years ago.
They are so, I thought Snowden helped us all get rid of webcams, but I guess they didn't. Moving on to the next question. Okay, I actually have a question here from the chat room. And it actually is a little bit similar to some of the other ones that we've received in direct messaging in preparation for today. David here asks, so many startups need marketing to get their business going, but then are on a shoestring budget and say they can't afford it. What advice can you give them? So what advice can you give startup businesses that are on a tight budget?
So as a startup business, what's the best way for them to market on a shoestring budget? Is that basically what it said?
Yes.
Well, the first thing that I would say is before you open doors, don't have a shoestring budget. So you should first find a way to get the capital that you need to survive. So whether that means going to the SBA and getting a loan, or going through angel investors or your uncle, or working your full-time job in order to get the money that you need to open a business. You need to make sure that you have the budget that you need to survive before you ever start. One of the things that breaks my heart is to see businesses that launch without being prepared, and then they go under. And whatever investment they did have, then it's just thrown away and it's flushed. And I've seen that before. It breaks my heart for people. One of the reasons why I try to do so much education up front. But the answer to the question is, don't start a business if you're on a shoestring budget. The next answer to that would be, you need to know how much money you need to have. And the best way to do that is to build a business plan. So you need to know, okay, this is what I need from an operations standpoint, and then this is what I need from a legal standpoint, because you have to register with the Secretary of State and all of that, and then this is what I need from a communication standpoint, because there's three main pieces to being in business, right? You're going to have your operations, that's you're building the building or renting the building that you're going to be in, the employees that you're going to have, the raw materials that you need, right? All of that to actually do whatever function it is that you're going to come into the marketplace with. That's your operations. Then you have legal, that's dealing with the IRS, dealing with the Secretary of State, dealing with the county, all of that stuff, right? Making sure you have your permits and your certifications and your legal right to exist. And then you're going to have communicating your business, which is a large part of being in business. So when you are, and a lot of people forget this when they're doing their media plan, which is why I try to get close with a lot of the SCORE mentors. When you're telling somebody to build their plan, don't let them forget how they're going to tell people about their business. You need to have enough money before you open your doors to have a decent marketing plan, to build your marketing foundation, to implement whatever strategy is necessary based on the amount of money that you're going to raise or get from the bank or wherever you're going to get it from. So proactivity and planning is really a big piece of this. Okay, and then you step in front of it instead of behind it, and you do things in a very strategic, methodical way to really start to grow your company proactively. So I would say that. Now, from if you're already launched your business, take a step back, do what you got to do to get your ducks in a row. Now, is owning a business easy? No, it's not. Owning a business is difficult. It's going to take time and it's going to take money. And that's just the way it is. Unless it's a hobby, something that you do for fun, which is completely different than what I'm talking about. But again, line yourself up with professionals, know what you're going to do, and then put yourself in the right place to be able to do it. So
yeah, exactly, guys.
I know he was probably looking for cheap tactics, but that's not what he asked.
Well, and I think he probably knew that you were going to say something to that effect. I mean, listen, not all of us can get as lucky as Christopher Columbus did, where he just stumbled upon America with no map, right? I mean, if you're going to set out on this little adventure, you need to have a plan. You need to have a map. And usually when you do, it makes things a lot easier. And you don't have to walk around second-guessing yourself and where your money's going. And maybe, like Zachary said, talking to a SCORE professional, a mentor, some free things out there, mentorship programs. Also, if you wanted to get involved with an agency as well, they can really help you figure out what kinds of marketing materials you might need as a startup that you don't even really think about. Like a lot of times people never realize that if you are a company that requires uniforms, maybe uniforms are part of marketing.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that goes into your marketing budget. Business cards, website, some of those things are kind of obvious. Some of the stuff isn't. If you have a car wrap, that's part of your marketing budget.
Yeah, business card, pizza boxes, whatever, anything that has to do with you communicating your business.
We have said this a million times, but we really hang our hat on it with, what's his name, Regis McKenna. Regis McKenna said marketing is everything and everything is marketing. And really when you sit down to think about what all is involved in the marketing plan, especially for a starting business, it's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff falls in that bucket.
You really have to worry about building that foundation first. Then you go into the tactical things.
Yeah, because you don't need everything right away.
No.
You need a plan to trickle the things in, but you do need to start with what is
and
foundational.
they need to be prioritized based on whatever your budget is, like I was saying
exactly.
before. You need to make sure that you understand what you're going to do, and then be proactive in how you're going to attack that. Don't let salespeople come up to you and talk you into things. You need to be proactive about, this is what I'm going to do and this is why. And then figure out ahead of time how much that's going to cost, and then what that investment is going to take before you ever open your doors in your business. You should understand, based on your business and what it is you're going to try to do, how much investment you need to make going forward. The whole idea of a shoestring budget and you're just starting, bad idea. Of course, depending on your business. If you have a hobby business, that's completely different. But there's lots of things that you can do depending on whatever budget you have. You just need to figure out, okay, based on my budget, these are the things that I can afford, and kind of attack it that way. But the biggest thing that I would say to that is you need to be prepared.
But in the real world, when you set out to start a business, you got to have a plan. You got to have a map. That's the quickest, most efficient way to get from point A to point B. And making sure in that plan that you cover everything that's needed, marketing included. I hope that answers your question, David. It's hard because starting a business isn't easy, and it takes a lot of capital to start, which is why small business loans and SCORE and all sorts of stuff.
If you're looking for a way to, it's really politically insensitive to talk about it this way. If you're looking to be cheap when you first start, you've already got a problem. So you have to understand, you want to be efficient and you want to be smart, but you don't want to be looking for the cheapest way to do it. You want to find the best and the quickest way so that you can move from startup to successful business as quickly as possible.
All right, the next question here is something that I know Zachary is going to love. Because we get this question.
Is that a facetious thing to say?
Well, yes and no. You answer this question all the time.
Oh, it's a familiar question.
You get asked this question all the time.
Okay.
And we got asked it again on the direct message. The question that they had was, Zachary, how much does a website cost?
Did they say who they were? What their business is?
No, they did not.
Nothing?
No, it's just out there.
Did they see the video I've already done that's on this?
I don't know. I will say, though, that's an excellent question.
All right. So the answer to the question is that I can't answer the question.
It's a trap.
Because,
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Because there's too many variables involved. But what I will do, since I've already gone down this road on another video, is I will kind of take it from a different angle. Let's imagine that you, Mr. Business Owner, you're a car lot, okay? Somebody comes in and they ask you, how much is a used car? How are you going to answer that? Well, you can't, right? You can't answer how much is a used car, because to answer that question, you have to know the answer to several variables. For example, is it four-wheel drive? Is it two-wheel drive? Is it all-wheel drive? Does it have a sunroof? Is it a family car? Is it a sports car?
What year is it?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different variables that you have to answer.
Does it have a spoiler?
But yeah,
things like that.
A chrome grill. But for you, Mr. Car Dealer, I'm going to continue with this analogy and go further than I normally do in this question.
I love analogies.
For me to answer that question, I would need to know if you sell online, because a lot of people sell their cars online now. Do you deliver? Because a lot of places are now delivering cars when people buy it. Where are you located? Your metro is going to have a large factor in how your website should be built. How often do you change your inventory? Is this something that's going to have to be updated all the time? Or how often is your car inventory going to be changed? Do you sell used and new cars? I mean, that's obviously going to be a factor too, right? What is your relationship with the manufacturer? Is the manufacturer sending you these corporately produced videos and pictures and so forth for you to use on your website? What types of cars are they, right?
Any more questions, Zachary?
How are those cars being positioned in the marketplace already, right? Because, a Porsche has its own positioning in the marketplace, which is much different than the Honda Accord. So how are the cars that you're selling, how are they being positioned before they ever get to you, right? The next is, who is your typical customer? Right? And then once you know who they are, why are they buying from you? Are they, kids that are going off to college for the first time and need a reliable car? Or maybe it's a professional that is rewarding himself for getting that job promotion. Or maybe it's the family that's all of a sudden they're pregnant and they need a family car, so now they need a minivan. All of those variables must be answered in order to make the smartest, best, and most efficient website for your business. When you think that you know the answers to all of those questions, we'll talk about it, and I'll be able to give you a quote for specifically how much it costs. But other than that, there is nothing in this business of marketing that is blanket cut and dry. If there is, you're not talking to an agency, you're talking to a vendor. Which I'm sure we'll get into later.
Yeah, there are questions about that here.
But we have, if you're wanting to buy something off the shelf that's not custom and then fit yourself into it, that's not what agencies do. Agencies fit whatever it is that you need around who you are and who your customer is. So there's a kind of a big difference in that. So let your agency know who you are, who your customer is. They'll have a whole list of questions, and then let them know how much you can spend, because that really should be first, right? Because if you tell me
you've already identified in your marketing budget.
If you tell me that you want a car, well, I can buy you a car that's a $500 beater, or I can go out and start showing you Lamborghinis. But I don't want to show you a Lamborghini if you can only afford a Mercedes. You see what I'm saying? So in the essence of really being smart about the time that's being spent, know what your budget is before you go to the car lot. Now, I find that's interesting because you are a car lot in this situation, but you have to know what it is that you want to spend first. Feed that to your agency, and then they'll be able to tell you, okay, based on that amount of money, this is what we can build you. This is what I recommend.
We have a question here that kind of parlays into poor parlay? That's not the right word. But anyway, that kind of trickles into the next. Trickles is my word of the day. That's twice. If I say it 3 times, it's my word. This trickles into the next question. where we got on social media here, why should I buy from an agency when I can buy direct from vendors myself?
I'm not saying that you should.
Well then.
I don't know your business. Did they say who they were?
No.
Okay.
Wait, no.
Yeah, I don't know that you should. Some people can buy from a vendor, and that's fine. But before you can make a decision between agency and vendor, you have to understand what you're getting and that it has value. So if you don't understand why you should be with an agency, you're only going to be disappointed that you went with an agency versus a vendor.
Yeah, really understand
you have
the difference
to understand
between the two.
why you went with a vendor, or else you're going to be disappointed that you went. So you really need to understand the difference between those two. And we have a podcast episode that we did on this a while back. It's the one that I believe I used the UPS commercial.
Yeah, it's agency versus vendor.
You're welcome to roll back and see what that is. But basically, the difference between a vendor and an agency: a vendor takes orders and delivers a service, whereas an agency partners with companies to figure out what they need, provide them direction, make recommendations, and then deliver on those recommendations. So it's a nuanced difference between the two, but it's going to make a big difference in that decision of which one that you should go with. Now, with an agency, you have to understand that you're investing so that you can utilize their experience and their expertise. So you don't have to take the time to learn how to do everything on your own. You're also getting skills that take years and years to hone.
Not everybody's a graphic designer.
That you don't necessarily have on your own, no matter what people tell you. Now, there's lots of commercials and stuff out there that'll tell you could do this on your own. And the answer is a lot of people, you can't.
Or you don't have the time.
They're lying to you. Again, a flashback to that podcast where I rave about people taking advantage of business owners in that one. But the other thing is that with some agencies, they're a one-stop shop for everything. So what you're getting there is less stress, less complication, less confusion, because you have one person to go to that's going to handle all of that for you. Now, if those elements are not important to you, then maybe it is a vendor that you want to go to. Because a vendor is going to go in there and say, I want this. They'll say, yes, sir. You'll give them the information. They'll do what you said, and that is it. There is no input. There is no recommendation. They will do what you say. And you have to understand that to have an amicable relationship on either end. If you go up to a vendor and you want them to act like an agency, you're going to make them frustrated. If you go to an agency and you try to treat them like a vendor, you're going to make them frustrated.
All the time.
And you're going to be frustrated as well. So you have to really educate yourself and kind of understand the difference between the two so that you know where you need to go.
Right. Yeah, let me ask you guys listening here. In your business, do you have an accountant? Or do you just go to like Liberty Tax at the end of the year? Now, that's the difference.
That's the difference
between having an agency, which is an accountant, or a vendor, which would be Liberty Tax. I'm not picking on H&R Block or Liberty Tax.
No, that's a good analogy.
They provide a service.
That's a good analogy.
Basically, you go in there and you say, hey, do my taxes. They say, okay, it's going to be $212 or way more than that. And then they do your taxes, and then that's it. You kiss them goodbye, and you don't get to see them until next year, maybe. An accountant, bookkeeper,
CPA.
Tax, CPA, they stay with you on the journey, and they give you advice along the way.
Throughout the year.
They help you make decisions that benefit your company in the best interest of your company. That's a little bit like what an agency does. An agency is somebody that's going to stay with you. They are your marketing, an extension of your marketing department. They help you make decisions along the way of what's going to be best for your company. Whereas a vendor might just say, here's your website, bye-bye, or here's your business cards, Vistaprint, what? And then that's it. You don't see them again until you want to order brochures. And then don't get me started on the expertise and stuff. But that's the question that you should ask yourself as a business owner. What do I currently use for my taxes? Because it's a good analogy. I mean, if you're one of those people that's like, you know what, my business is small enough or manageable enough that I can do it on my own at Liberty Tax once a year, or is it exceeding your comfort level and time requirement level, you're just going to have to outsource it to somebody that can help make decisions with you, That's the difference. And some people think that they can just do it themselves. I have a question here. Can't I just do it myself? All the marketing for my business.
You can. Yes. The end. No.
Okay, thank you for coming.
If you have the know-how and the skill and the experience and the time, you can definitely do it yourself. Like I said, that's the stuff that you're paying for. So if you have those elements and you want to do it yourself, you absolutely can do it yourself. But even if you have the know-how and the skill, you're going to lose time. And that time is something that you could be investing in whatever your core business is. For example, if you're a lawyer, right, your time should be spent defending clients, doing research, figuring out this, this person versus this person and what that case means, case study, stuff like that. That's how your time should be spent because that's your core business. Most of the time, it's not efficient use of your own time as a business person to spend it learning, how to make websites and how to do email blasts.
An entirely different trade.
And how do you do, what's the science behind social media and building a studio so that you can do a podcast. Those sorts of things don't fall in line with your core business. So it's really about efficient use of your time. It's basically just like asking the question before about why do I need an agency, right? Why do I need an agency versus a vendor? The reasons are still the same. So if you have the time to devote to those things, absolutely, you can do that. Maybe graphic design is a hobby for you. Is it possible? Yes. Is it the smartest thing? Most of the time, no. But yes, you can do it yourself if you have all of those things.
Now, what about using a vendor?
Again, this is the same as the previous question of why should it be an agency and not a vendor. You have to understand the difference between the two in order to make the call. So what a vendor does, very basically, what a vendor does is they take your order and they deliver the service however you ordered it. What an agency does is an agency partners with companies to figure out what they need, provide them direction, make recommendations, and then deliver on those recommendations. So one is like, pulling up to the counter at a restaurant, where the other one is where, there's some thinking and some back and forth, and you're really wanting the expertise of the other party. So even if it seems like they do the same thing, the way that they go about it is vastly different. So if you're going to go with a vendor, you need to already know all of the things that your agency would have told you. So you have to make those decisions on your own, which means you have to know what's going to work in the marketplace, what your messaging should be. You need to already have...
What your logo is.
Yeah, you need to already have whatever your graphic pieces are going to be, that sort of thing, already done.
Is.
Because the vendor is going to take those, plug them in. That's it.
You go to a vendor and ask for a website, they're going to say, great, no problem. Give me all the assets for it. And you're like going to stand there.
If you go, there are website vendors. What they do is they say, you want a website? Great. We have these 4 templates. Which one would you like? And what you get.
No, actually, you know what they do?
You get made just like all the other ones.
They say, what business do you have? And you're like, well, I own a restaurant. Okay, here you go. This is the restaurant template.
Oh, the restaurant template,
yeah. Okay, are you like a cantina or are you a fine dining? Because those can be completely different look and feels. And so, and then they'll ask you for all the images and all the copy and all that stuff. So you better have your assets sewn together before you do something like that.
And again, if you have all of that and you want to do it, then, by all means, do whatever is best for you.
Whatever floats your boat.
And
your business boat.
That's right.
Okay, I have another question here, and this one actually makes me giggle a little bit.
Oh, a giggly question.
Well,
it
makes me giggle because it's actually from another agency.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not going to mention the name of the agency, just out of respect. But the thing that made me giggle is not that it's from an agency, but what they actually asked made me giggle.
Okay.
The question is, why do you give away your secrets?
Well, I'm glad it helps you, Mr. Glummingon. No, I'm just kidding.
Mr. Glummingon. Stalker.
I put out content for business owners, entrepreneurs, C-level executives, managers, etc. And yes, I know that some agencies and those that would be considered competition to our business watch the show. But, seriously, there is enough business to go around. I never seek out to break up existing relationships with businesses that I meet for the exact same reason. And I really look at it that way. I offer to help businesses in any way that I can. And that's really the best way to look at it. I am here to help you if you want my help. If the business wants my help, I am here to help. And in whatever capacity that I can, not to take business from somewhere else. So I'm really not worried about that aspect of it. And the other thing is, they aren't secrets. The advice.
There's no razzle dazzle here.
The advice and the insight that I provide comes from, my experiences in marketing other businesses and my ability to see things big picture. Now I know that's where not everybody can do that. I have the ability to look at the big picture.
Okay,
I'm
a detail person. We kind of match each other.
And kind of map out strategies for a company that are in their best interest. But it all comes again from experience and knowing what to do and the ability to see that big picture and figure out how to interpret that in a way that's going to be creative and effective for the businesses. So that's a skill and that's life experience. It's really not. There's no secrets. There's no magic formula that I can.
Yeah, secrets make it sound like it's something nefarious.
Well, it makes it sound like I have a rabbit in my pocket, and I don't.
Not that we haven't actually produced some magic in the past. We have pulled rabbits out of weird places, figuratively speaking, before.
And I have to say that, one of the other ways to look at this, and advice that I would give anybody from any industry, whether you're a marketing agency like we are or not, is you have to put out content that is valuable to other people. Now, I'm glad that you think the content that we're putting out is valuable. That's why we do it. But you can't be scared to do that. You have to put out content that's valuable to others, that will help other people, and the rewards will come. It's not you can't be scared to put yourself out there. This is, if people align themselves with the way that I think and the experiences that I've had, and they trust in me to bring them through this journey that I'm describing, that I am honored that they would do that.
I have another question here from the messages, private message.
Okay.
It says they're identifying themselves as a new business.
Okay.
They said, where should I start? Facebook?
Well, I'll as a new business, where should you start? Parentheses, Facebook, question mark. Is how I'm going to read that. And I'm not going to answer it.
Somebody's a visual person.
I'm not going to answer it the way that you expect. Where you should start as a new business is building your brand.
Yeah, slow your roll.
you have to figure out who you are and what your personality is going to be as a company first, before you say a word.
Yeah, what are you going to say? Who are you going to say it to?
You have to figure out who you are, and then you have to know your potential audience. That's number 2. Then you have to do a business plan that includes the communication tactics that you were probably asking about. Now, after you do that, then you can worry about how to reach that audience with whatever investment you've allotted in your plan. Again, there are no tricks. You have to put in the work and do those 3 steps first. A lot of people don't make a business plan when they launch their business. And I believe we talked about this a little bit earlier. But you have to put in the thought into who you are, the understanding of your clients, or who your potential clients if you're brand new, and then build a communication strategy within your business plan that encompasses all of that before you do anything like Facebook or Comcast or Google or anything else.
Billboards.
Now, that being said, practically speaking, you have to, after you know those elements, the first thing you're going to have to do is build what we call a brand foundation. There are some very basic things that you're going to need. Your website, presence on social media. There's lots of elements depending on what your business is, but the majority need to have those foundational element things. You need to have a logo, business card. You need to have a website, and you need to have a presence on social media at the minimum. Other than that, all those tactics depend on who you are
line of business.
and what your business is. Yeah, if, for example, if you're a gas station, Facebook is not going to be your go-to.
No.
So Facebook is not the place to go. But if your target, right, when you study your target, if you find out that 90% of them are on Facebook 18 hours a day, yes, you need to be on Facebook.
So what happens if you're like an established business?
If you're an established business versus the new business that we just talked about?
Like you're not just starting out. You've had a business for a while.
If you are an established business, then you likely have a lot of those elements already done. So you already have a developed brand. You already have a consistent look and feel for what your brand is. You already have a targeted consumer profile. And you probably already have a strategic marketing plan. So at that point, after you have all of that, as an established business, you should have all of that. Then the answer is to go where people's attention is. Go where people's attention is with a message that is going to resonate with them, that's going to speak to them in a way that is going to make you preferred in the marketplace. It's really that simple. I mean, that's the difficult part is how do you do that, right? How do you know what it is that you should do? How do you know what it is that you should say? How do you know the best way to present yourself in a way that is going to resonate with that audience? How can you ensure that what you say is going to help you be remembered and preferred in the marketplace? So there's the how to is the hardest part more than what to. So, practically speaking, I said go where people's attention is. People's attention right now are on this device.
He's holding up a cell phone.
These, for those of you that are not on the visual, these are, this is a smartphone. And everybody's attention is on this device because...
we have no brain?
Well, it's replaced our brain. You look at an elevator, you look right before a meeting, you look at the dinner table, you look at a meeting, right? You can go to a theater and people are still looking on their phone. It's where everybody's attention is here. It used to be television during, you had commercial breaks and you had trapped people's attention because they were waiting to see when their show continued. Well, now television doesn't even work as well because the second the commercials come on, what do? They pick up their phone and they start seeing what's going on with their friend.
Right,
this is where people's attention is. So practically speaking, for most businesses, that's going to be something you should invest in, the 6 to 9 platforms that are on this device.
Yes. Okay, well, I think that is, I think we're about at time now to end the show. We had a lot of really great questions. We had a lot of great participation on the Facebooks and on the Instagrams, and I appreciate you guys spending your day with us. Just a little fraction of your business day, and I know that it's not easy for some of you, so I really do appreciate you taking the time out to spend with us. I hope you learned something. I hope we were able to answer your questions. If you still have more questions, please feel free to send them our way. You can email us at info@straightshot.net, or you can direct message us through Facebook or Instagram. Call us on the phone. If you don't know the number, Google it.
And if this episode has served you well, if you got the answers to some of your questions, let us know. If you want us to do this again, we can do Q&A more often. As you like. So this is the first time that we've done it. We did it on Facebook and Instagram both.
All right, guys, we're out of your hair. Thank you so much, and keep an eye out onto your favorite listening app for our Straight Shot podcast on the questions and answers. And we're going to keep making them as long as you keep asking questions. And if you have any show ideas or you want to be a guest, reach out to us. And other than that, we'll see you on the flip side. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening. If you found this podcast informative, we hope you'll pass along our web address, straightshot.net, to your friends, colleagues, and business associates, and please leave us a positive review on iTunes or on our Facebook page at facebook.com/straightshot. If you would like to have your question featured on the show or would like to be a guest, call 678-825-8086, extension 300. Or you can email us at info@straightshot.net. Be sure to download the Straight Shot Podcast app on your smartphone to hear previous and new shows. You can also find us on Spotify, iTunes, or directly at straightshot.net. This has been Straight Shot.